So, who is a parent? I know I sent out a question a while ago, and I just wanted people to ruminate over it, to think about it. Um, if we look at the dictionary meaning, what is a parent? Who is a parent? The question I asked was, is it the person who begets or who brings forth, or the person who brings up and cares for? I don't know if you've ever heard um, any child, usually in a difficult situation, saying, um, that person might be my biological father, but he's not my dad. Or that person might be my biological mom, but she's not my mom. Well, I want to submit to you that it is both. A parent is one who brings forth, who begets. That's the traditional meaning of a parent. But also, more importantly, a parent is one who brings up, who cares for, who nurtures. We're going to learn a little later that the bringing up part and the caring part is also very important. And so this leads me to the question, what then is parenting? What is parenting? I want to start by saying parenting, the act or the art of parenting is a lot of things, and we're just going to go through them one by one. Parenting is nurturing. It's when we think about parenting, even in animals, when you have a baby, the baby is 100% dependent. You have to nurture. But it's not just as a baby, you have to nurture every child, because it's in nurturing that child that you package the child for the future. You package the child for success. So parenting is nurturing. Parenting is also accountability. That sounds so far off. Parenting accountability. Yes, parenting is accountability. And a lot of us parents, we miss that very point. We need to be accountable to our children. Yes, we're the grown-ups. Yes, we're the adults. Yes, we're the providers. We feed, we clothe, we put a roof over their heads. We are the ones that watch over them when they're sick and everything. But parenting is accountability. What do I mean by that? I was reading a book about parenting recently, and I've had the book for a long time. For whatever reason, I never got to read in the book. And recently I started to read the book, and I was blown away by the time I read the first 1 or 2 chapters about the approach of that person. And in that book, it talks about a question behind a question. We're talking about parenting being accountability, and accountability to who? To our children, to ourselves, but to our children. What does it mean by question behind a question? A lot of times, especially us parents that have teenage children or just a very strong-willed child, especially those smart ones, they can be very strong-willed. And for those children, sometimes we're looking at them like, what is wrong with you? We're quick to ask that question. Why are you always stomping? Why are you rolling your eyes at me? Why are you always angry? And in that book, I read something and I thought it was profound. And the book says, instead of saying, why are you always angry? Have you thought of wording the question as, what can I do to make you less angry? We don't know it sometimes as parents, but it's also almost as if sometimes we feel like when we come down to the child's level, we're losing the grip of our power as a parent. No, we are empowering ourselves the more when you are able to come down and be accountable to it. You'll be surprised at what the child might answer you with. I know my daughter has told me this, a lot of times, that, Mom, do you not think you can ever be wrong? Can we be wrong? Yes. Nobody has a manual to this. It's the grace of God. It's, learning by watching. It's innate instinct, everything put together that we're using to raise our children. So it's accountability. Another thing parenting is it's applying wisdom when you're not politically correct. There will be times that you're not politically correct. What am I saying? Give an example. You have a child who has this friend and wants to go spend the night. Now, maybe you've heard something about the family, maybe not. But you're telling your child, I believe, for nowadays, it wasn't supposed to be that. But there's so many things going on with child molestation, with outright kidnapping, especially if you're living in the third world. A lot of things are going on. So it's your right to want to protect your child. But is that child going to always see you as trying to protect them? No. But know this, it's not because the child is bad. That's a child. We are talking about a child. So yeah, the child doesn't see from your own point of view. But as a parent, you might have to say, look, Joanne, darling girl, darling son, John, James, you might have to say, can you have your friend's parents call me? That's if you want the sleepover to even happen. For some parents, it might just be, you know what, I will take you there, spend the whole day, but I'm picking you back up. That child might stomp their feet, might roll their eyes, and tell you, why are you so not social, mom? Everybody does it. Or why are you like this, dad? It's okay. You don't have to be politically correct all the time. So another thing parenting is it's molding. We're molding those children because we're building character into them. Every time we correct, every time we instruct, every time we tell them, what's right and what is wrong, we are molding those children. It's also living a model life. This is a very important part that we as parents, we need to be cognizant of. You have to live a model life. It's not do as I say, don't do as I do. They watch. Why do you think people say a lot of times when a child has had a not so good parent, and they say, one thing I'm going to do when I grow up is I make sure I'm never like my dad, or I make sure I'm never like my mom. They end up being exact replica. God forbid that father being an alcoholic or a drug addict. Sometimes they do veer away, or an angry person, or a person who doesn't communicate. Well, it's because all those characters were modeled to the child. We're modeling every day. So who are you when nobody's watching? Trust me, your children are catching glimpses of who you are when nobody's watching. So you have to be a person of character. The onus is on you to have that character. You are living a model life when you're a parent. It's also loving unconditionally. I said earlier on, you're going to have moments, especially as the children begin to grow and are caught between, am I an adult, am I a child? Can I push the boundary a little bit? You are going to get times when that child is going to say something or do something. I'm going to give you a quick story here. I thought it was impactful to me. A young 15-year-old boy. He told his story. This is a grown man now and a very successful man. He told his story and he said, where he came from, typically, education is it. Some of my African parents here would understand that too. He's not African, I'm just saying. He said education was everything where he came from. So his parents, both parents, they were master's degree holders in engineering. But he said every time he got home, it was as if they didn't have that much. And then this particular day, he got home from school, hungry, went to the refrigerator, opens the refrigerator, and the refrigerator was empty. And this boy stood there, 15-year-old, stood there and just screamed, "What is going on in this house?" The mom shows up. "What do you mean, what's going on in this house?" And the boy blurted out, "I thought you guys had master's degree in engineering. I thought you were educated, and I thought you got educated so that you will have a good life. Well, I don't know what your education is doing now, because we're definitely not having a good life, because there's no food in the refrigerator." I don't know about you, that you might be watching or listening to me right now, but maybe you've had that, maybe you've never. But what would you think? You're looking at a 15-year-old, you're thinking, God, the least this child should be able to do or put forth is to at least understand. This is your child growing in your home. You will think at least can see the struggles. Almost as if the child was heartless, did not care, said that. What do? He's still your child. Loving doesn't stop with that mistake. I want to put something to you. I hope all parents here know that at 15, their brains are not even fully developed. They talk big, they talk grown-ups. They are not. This is not to absolve them of all responsibility. This is not to say that action cannot be corrected, but it does not stop you parenting that child. So parenting is loving unconditionally. It's also a one-man band decision making sometimes. Your child doesn't have to agree with you. There will be some things that you need to do, or you need to say, or you need to put forth, and the child is not going to be in agreement. Guess what? You are the one-man band, and you have to do it. And it's tougher for single parents, because you can't play good cop, bad cop with the other person. Mom being the good cop, dad being the bad cop, or mom being the bad cop, dad being the good cop. But sometimes, even with both parents there, you might have to be a one-man band decision maker, because the child might not necessarily agree with you, but you have to do what you have to do. Remember, you're parenting. It's finally not the final thing. Please let me know if you have other things. But one thing I know is it's also being a friend to your child. At the same time, you're being a foe. Sometimes you're the best friend they have. You need to create that atmosphere. Your children need to be able to come to you to say, I have it. I mean, the most embarrassing things, if you set the stage right, you should be comfortable enough to talk to your children about those embarrassing things. You have to be a friend. That's when you can get into their space sometimes. And trust me, you need to get into that space as they grow older. Of course, the door is going to be shut on your face at some point. I hope you know that. You're never going to have, all the 100% itsy bitsy, every nook and cranny of, their space. But being a friend is vital. However, do not lose sight that you might have to be the enemy sometimes. You might have to be the foe. Why? Because you're protecting them. Because you're nurturing right. Because you're being accountable. Because you're modeling. Because you're living a model life. Because you're loving them unconditionally. You might have to be the foe. Anytime they're not in agreement, guess what? You just became the foe. You just became that enemy, but enemy in love. So, having said what we said about what parenting is, remember, parents, we're still going to continue this discussion. Opinions, and inputs are welcome online. But as we go on with the live discussions, why do we need to parent wisely? I mean, yes, we beget. They're already living in your house. Is that not enough? You're already providing clothes and food. I mean, you're already doing too much, right? Well, let's answer the question together. Do we need to parent wisely? Why can't we just be co-space owners, roommates? And I asked the question before today. I said, why do we need to parent wisely? Is it a mandate of God, or is it a call of nature? And this is where we have double answers again. Well, it is a mandate of God. The Bible says in Proverbs 22, verse 6, that train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Another verse in the Bible, Ephesians 6:4 says, and you fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and admonition of the Lord. It is a mandate from God. You have to parent, and you have to parent wisely. Secondly, it is a call of nature. When we say it's a call of nature, nature was created by God, remember? But let's pull it out a little bit and say it's a call of nature. Remember seeds? You know what seeds are, right? Seeds from fruits, from trees or plants. Yeah. Seeds have to be cared for it to bring forth a harvest. So for us, even if nature made it such that the seeds that produce and reproduce, that produce the harvest, that keeps the life going, if the seed had to be nurtured for it to get to that, I hope you do know that our children, they are seeds. And so we need to nurture them. That's why we don't give birth to children at 25. You give birth to your child and your child is 25 years old, all grown with beard and mustache, all bouncing around. No, they need to be nurtured. So yes, we need to parent wisely because it's a mandate of God and because it's a call of nature. So here we are in the 21st century. Things have suddenly changed. A lot is not what it used to be. Hey, mind you, don't think I'm that old. Just don't even go there. I am forever 21. I hope you know that. But, let's say history tells us that we've not always had what we have now in the 21st century. With the millennium, everything just blew out of the waters. We now have computers, we have tablets. You give birth to a child today. Trust me, if the child can lift a finger, the child is operating an iPad and all of that good stuff. It's real. And that's just the little aspect of it. It is very real. In the 21st century, all of a sudden it's not, shut up. The next thing you're going to hear from that child is, why? Or if you say shut up in my house, anytime I have kids around, they're going to say, you're not supposed to say that. It's a bad word. Because now that's just mean. You say keep quiet, not shut up. But that's not even where we're going. So what are the challenges? The challenges are not limited to toddlers or school age. The challenges of the 21st century in parenting start from day one, from when you have the baby. Heck, not even from when you have the baby, from when you get pregnant. Because when you get pregnant, trust me, depending on your age, the doctor is going to say this. All of a sudden, they can do in utero diagnosis of certain things, or certain diseases, or certain genetic disorders. It never used to be. So much so that you might find yourself at opposite ends of the spectrum with your doctor that is supposed to be taking care of you and doing your bidding. But no, it's no longer that way. That's what the 21st century has brought. The knowledge, the insight, the technology, everything impacts everything we do. Impacts the child, impacts the parent. So let's start with babies. Why do we need to? What are the challenges of parenting babies in the 21st century? Do you know their social expectations? Think about even the way the baby sleeps in the crib. One party is going to tell you, maybe even from the hospital, you leave the baby on its back. The baby is supposed to sleep on the back. And then another person comes and says, no, the baby can aspirate that way. Put the baby on the tummy. And then you have things like SID, sudden infant death syndrome. And God forbid it happening to anyone or even anyone we know. And all of a sudden, you're the one, or if anything, the child coughs up, people around you are constantly watching. You didn't have a manual. I mean, I don't know about you. I didn't get a manual. If that was circulated, I must have missed the memo. But I believe all of us, nobody had the manual. So now it's a challenge just with the way the baby sleeps. Isn't that great? Social expectations are there. What about toddlers? The attention is the currency of love for toddlers. For children, actually, but especially toddlers. I love you, mommy. I love you, daddy. I want to climb on your lap when you get back from work. This is something that, unfortunately, of old, you could shoo the children away. Oh, no, dad just came back, and the house better be speak and span, or maybe he's told you to do something and you don't want to be there. Now, you need to figure out how to pay that attention. You just have to figure it out. It is what it is. It's part of now, because you don't want your child feeling deprived. They will feel deprived if your parenting is different. If you're not paying that attention, that's the currency of love. No matter how much you say, I love you, if they cannot boast of the time of, we are baking cookies together, we just popcorn, we're going to watch some animated movie, even if you don't understand it, you better be watching. So that's part of it. It didn't exist before, now it's the real deal. What about school-age children? You have to deal with peer pressure. Peer pressure now is different in the 21st century. What the kids are talking about at age 6, age 7, you better be talking to your children at home, because the discussions are just different. Remember now, they operate the iPad and the computers from the womb. Okay, maybe I stretched that a little bit. From the moment they can coordinate their movement, they start to operate. And some parents are not that careful in what they expose their children to. What about bullying? These are things that are more rampant in the 21st century. And then we talk about maturity versus intelligence. These children, we have children that, I know of a little boy, actually a nephew of mine, who before he could talk, literally, before he could talk, he knew his alphabets. What do you think happened to him when he got to school? He was so way ahead of his peers that his talk, his gestures, his dealings were way too intelligent, and frankly, they might actually perceive it as too mature for the other children, and he had problems figuring out why they don't get him until he had to be moved to a higher class. And with older kids, but those are the ones that could deal with him. Those are the children God has blessed us with. So sometimes you have maturity versus intelligence. Because that boy or that girl is intelligent, is smart, is blessed, does not mean they're matured. And you have to be aware of that and help the immature aspect of it. I am an advocate of not pushing children along schools. I know it's a thing with our African parents. Your 9-year-old in 4th grade, we say 4th grade here in the US, but in primary 4, you want to move them to high school. Can they handle it book-wise? Yes, that's probably why you're moving them. But can they handle it in maturity? No. And it catches up. We don't know that, but it catches up with them. Because now it caught up with my daughter. I told you I'm going to be very transparent. My daughter got to college at 16. Children are different. At that time, remember, we're talking about the 21st century. I got to college at 15. Well, there was not much other than now you're in school, you better pass. Daddy is watching, mommy is watching. Now, she had to deal with cheerleading. She had to deal with finances, frankly, because she went to a private school. Financially, that was tough. It was really tough for me as a parent. She had to deal with that, deal with the knowledge of the finances, deal with her academics, deal with her social life, deal with peer pressure, deal with her sports. She was a cheerleader, deal with every other thing that did not exist before now. So we need to be aware of that. Now, as teenagers, what are the parenting challenges of teenage children? This is something we're going to discuss. This is just a synopsis of all I'm saying are just synopses. We're going to deal with different issues at different age groups in depth. Every month we're going to, and I welcome parents suggesting if you have any pressing issue. I've had people contact me, behind the scenes, offline already with topics they want us to touch on. But what are we talking? When we talk about teenagers, now they themselves are trying to find where they belong. Today I'm an adult, next minute I'm a child. You should provide for me. You as a parent is getting dumped on. All of these emotions, all of this finding out, hormones are raging in them. It's been dumped on you. All of a sudden, you don't know what you're doing anymore. You don't know what you're saying anymore. They're teenagers, but they're going to college. And, you better not be shopping for that teenager. I hope you're still not shopping because that ain't flying. That is just not flying. And there's nothing wrong with that child saying that. It's what it is now. Take it. Gone are those days when your parents are still shopping for your shoes and your clothes. That's not in the 20th. That wasn't in the 21st century. In the 21st century, be ready for that. And it's okay. You just have to know how to manage that and channel whatever independence they think they're getting from you the right way. This is why God has to be in the factor, in the equation at all times. But they're trying to find where they belong. There's peer pressure for teenagers too. There's home pressure for teenagers because I would hope your teen children now have chores to do at home. They have expectations of you too. You have expectations of them, but they have expectations of you. I hope you know how to communicate with them because more than ever, they want you to be quiet. That's what they're saying out loud. But guess what? They really want you to talk. They need you to give them insight without saying you are giving them insight. That's a challenge we face in the 21st century. You need to figure out how to get that to happen. You have social influences with teenagers. You need to know when to call it. There's so many programs on TV. We as parents, we are so focused on the wrong programs. Oh, why are you watching this type of program? It's they are kissing. Trust me. What is more dangerous on TV, you're not paying attention to. Every day, our children are being desensitized to killing. Our children are being desensitized to, excuse me, I'm not trying to be politically correct, homosexuality. Every day, our children are being desensitized to morality. So now it's okay on TV for someone to have a significant other and also, have relationships out, unholy relationships outside. And we're laughing. Now they have real housewives and real house husbands and things like that. And we fail to see the message that is wrong with these shows. They are teaching our children daily that it's okay to have a messy life. It's okay to live life without borders. It's okay to live life without goals, without aims, taking those children's lives away. I hope this is an eye-opener. Also, parental influences is the 21st century challenge. You as a parent, you influence your children, you influence other children that come around you too, and vice versa. Your influences and your examples, they matter. We talked about this earlier on. And then finally, young adults. Young adults, they go through their social pressure. Life has started happening. Now they have their first jobs, or whatever. Yeah, they're going to college. If you're in a nation like mine, they're probably in school as well as having a job, and it is what it is. Sometimes some parents can avoid that, sometimes they can't. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something you also don't take your eyes away from it. It's not it, done, package, gone. No, you're still parenting through that. Responsibilities are popping up for them. Now they have cell phones, they have cars, maybe even. And we as parents, again, my transparency moment. Being a single parent, one of the things that took me a while to do was to say, yes, that's your responsibility. Go figure it out. Because at the back of my mind, it was always running, if I'm the bad cop, who's going to be the good cop? They will survive. They're okay. They will do it. Your child has a phone. Find a way to start paying that bills. Let them know how real it is to pay the bills. Let them know how real it is for the need to save. Let them know how real it is that because I have money doesn't mean I'm rich. They need to know that and figure out how to balance life. They need to do it. These are the things that are challenging us in the 21st century. I bet some parents have more. Please, if you do, and you want you want me to say something about it, please, by all means, say something right now. Oh, thank you, Pastor Sheila. That's my dad right there. Thank you for being online. Thank you so much for being online. Yeah, I'm looking at your comments here. Oh, thank you so very much. Oh, I'm not sure when you asked the question, did I say 20-year-old? Actually, I said if you were talking about when I got to school, I was 15. My daughter was 16. You know, but thank you. So we're rounding up pretty shortly. So how do we tackle these challenges? This is where we're going. How do we tackle the challenges of the 21st century? Again, if you were not here at the beginning, you can read about us on Facebook. I said it before, I'm saying it again. This is a group that believe in Christ Jesus. We believe in the Word of God. We believe in the principles of the Bible. So the first thing I'm going to say, and the most important thing, we pray for direction. No manual. There has to be a way forward. There has to be a way to tackle this. We pray for direction as parents. That's the number one thing we need to know to do in tackling parenting in the 21st century. Pray for direction. Pray for insight. Pray for wisdom. Pray for that child. Pray for yourself. Pray for your home. Pray for everything that you sniff, you see, you hear. You don't always have to have the answer right there and then, but God's got you. You need to know that and harness that power. You need to. All right. Number two, you need to be accountable to your children. We've talked about this. You have to be accountable. Learn to say thank you. Learn to say please. And learn to say I am sorry. It's okay to say I'm sorry to your child. If there are times that we run away with an idea that we didn't know, and it was just wrong. You might be looking for something, you asked, it was the wrong asking. Learn to say you're sorry. Learn to own up to mistakes. Be accountable. Learn to reward your questions. How can I be a better parent? Or how can I make you less angry? How can I make you less anxious? Do we know that children go through stuff? Depression is a real thing. Unfortunately, it affects some children, especially when they're getting into their teenage years. If you're not observant enough, if you don't learn to reward your questions, you might miss a lot of things. And before you know it, you're requiring a lot more. Another thing I want to say in tackling the challenges, know your child. It's not every opinion that comes from outside that is correct about your child. Know your child. You don't have to look good by agreeing with parents out there. Your child is not theirs. They don't know when you see what you see in your child, when she's crying, when she's laughing, when she's happy, when she's sad, when she's sick or he's or in pain. They don't know what you see in that child, in your son, when it's dark, when it's bright, when it's cool, when it's hot. They don't see it. It's not one size fits all. Know your child. And no, you don't have to agree all the time. Sometimes some children will do some things. I give an example of a child that says, and you said you went to school, and it's not showing because we don't have children. We don't have food in the refrigerator. Now, another parent or another adult hearing that will have 1,000,001 opinions. It's up to you to filter. Does it mean that you can't get nuggets of truth out there? Or even pointers to how to handle things? Maybe, but know who you're listening to. Create time for your children. Even if you don't have time, you better create time. Make it happen for them. Nurture their confidence. Always help. We remember we're the rod of correction. So we correct these children, but we need to learn to massage their egos sometimes, to nurture their confidence. You did that well. Great job. Wow. Can you teach me how to do that? You know that not a whole lot of your friends can do that. I know you're smarter than you think. Even sometimes when they've done something that doesn't, that is not quite right. Sometimes it's telling them that you believe in them. Telling them that you know they can do better. Sometimes that's all they need to hear, to rethink, to refocus. Always take their words seriously. Even if you don't understand their reasoning, take their words seriously. If it's something you need to argue about it. If it's something you have to discuss it. If it's something you have to say, I will get back with you, do so. But take their words seriously. You might be able to dissipate it. You might be able to throw it out the window, but you need to take it seriously first. And then piece it out and you can talk about it. Seek help. It's A-okay. You are a human being. You don't know it all. I don't know it all. I'm in this forum. I keep saying it and repeating it. It's a discussion. We're counseling together. I don't know it all. You don't know it all. I didn't come with a manual. Seek help if you have to. Have people you talk to, you pray with. There will be somebody out there who might have the fruit on the tree that you want. Talk to them. It's okay. And for us at Parenting Wisely, we counsel together with biblical principles. That's what we do. Parenting Wisely, we counsel together with biblical principles. I hope I've been able to at least get us started on Parenting Wisely, why we are, who we are, what we do, what parenting is. Maybe I've even sensitized you or reinvigorated you in your parenting job and skills today. This is where we're rounding up.